Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Sisters of the Mystic
Hello.
Tarot. Yay! And welcome to my friend Marina from Heart Centered Tarot. And hello to Shari from Voices from the Swamp and Val, Dragonfly Crystals, and Next Level Channeling. We're happy to have you all here. Hey!
Yay.
And you win the cookie. There you go.
Yay.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yes, I'm going to give it just a few minutes so we can wait for some more folks to come into the show. But I want to just shout out to Shari, who was recently on the NDE channel and probably got a lot of views from that. Arthur had been on it, and we've seen Linda on it. We've seen Nath on it, and a few other people. So Arthur was telling us last night that it was the channel of The Lady Lives in Vietnam, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice lady. Very nice.
Yeah. Very nice.
Asks
Awesome.
really good questions. Yeah, there's been quite a few people. The last time I looked, it had like almost 60,000 views.
Oh gosh, that's great.
30-minute, and that was like several days ago.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know where it's at now, so I haven't looked. I've been kind of scared to look and see.
Well,
That's good. That's lovely.
Is. Yeah, it's good to get out there and be seen and find people that are interested in this kind of thing. So very happy for you. So what else has been going on? Marina had her Shine Your Light last weekend, and I'm guessing that went really well.
It did. It did. It was lovely. Looking forward to the next one, because I always walk away feeling so buoyant and so energized. The next one is on May 24th. So looking forward to that. And then tomorrow, Val and I are doing messages for light workers.
Yeah.
And then Friday at 12 noon, I've got Sun Psychic Jean, who's coming on my channel. And then later on, Friday evening, Aley is going to join me for Story in the Cards.
A little bit of fun. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if we'll have anything to talk about anymore because Canada's all sewn up now, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yes. Canada's doing just fine. We want to thank your president for helping us with our election.
Yeah. Finally did something right by doing what you did. Yeah. It does happen. Very rare. Very rare.
That's funny. But, yes, absolutely. So it worked out the way that it should. So
that it should. Absolutely. Yeah. And Val, how about yourself, madam? What have you been up to?
I have been up to, just did a show with Dr. Gale on my channel.
Oh, good. Okay.
Galactic Conversations, if you want to check that one out. And
I saved it already.
Good. And tomorrow, like Marina said, messages for light workers. And let me see if there's anything else. Next week, I have more things going on, which Arthur is going to come on my channel again on Friday, the 17th. The Cool Crone Oracle is coming up next week. And Arthur on the 7th, actually, on Wednesday after Sisters next week. Those are my two big things. But check out messages. The Next Level Channeling channel.
Oh, yeah.
Asleep, because I'll be channeling some new information on there. So
nice.
Check that out.
Wonderful. I love that.
After this, I'm going to get on and do that. So
awesome. So I'll let you to say what you're going to be doing, Shari, and then we'll get to saying hello to
Polyterology Friday night.
Can I just interject? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I should have been using this time to say I have classes scheduled now. If you want to take the meditation class, it's May 24th, channeling class in June, and Akashic Records class in July. Aley and I will do the psychic mediumship sometime in August. So check back for that. And go to dragonflycrystals.store to sign up.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah. Don't miss it. She gives great classes.
So Shari, you've got polyterology.
Polyterology with on Colleen's channel, The Cool Crone. That's the first Friday of the month that she does it with the gang, the same group of people. And then Saturday, Sun Psychic Jean will be on with me on my channel for a live stream. Then Slumber Party, and then Monday night, Mel and I are going to do a makeup show from Draining from the Swamp. It was been this past Monday, but he got some news and was a little upset and wasn't ready to be on air. And I was like, that's no problem. So Colleen jumped on with me, and so he's like, we'll make it up. I said, okay, we'll do. So he's they've decided to do his surgery on his colon. So he'll be going in not tomorrow, but next Thursday. He's going.
We'll send lots of love to him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So just send lots of prayers and healing energy to him, because
absolutely.
I pull cards on it, and they came back, you're going to be fine. So I told him, you're going to be fine. But he's still a little nervous.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Anytime you're facing surgery.
That's
who wouldn't be? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be on after this at 5:30 with Scott Scorpio Sun, and then tomorrow I'm going to be on Mark's channel. He's going to talk. He's never interviewed me there, so he wants to do that. We'll do some readings, and then at 3:00 I'm going to be on with Paul White Dragon, who happens to be here, and Diana, and we're going to be talking about astral stuff. And Friday noon with Terry. 5 with Tarot Ask Backwards Jeff, and Story in the Cards with Marina. So we got all busy stuff. We all got busy.
We're all booked, man.
We're booked
and trying to squeeze in personal readings in between.
There you go. So let's say hi to a couple folks: Karen Doyle, Charlie, Marie Hernandez Walker, Denise Fletcher, Amanda, Suzanne, Carol Berner, Anya, Polly. Paul is here too, White Dragon, and Carolyn and Peter are here. Pam Drinnan, my wonderful co-host, who is the lady we had the class with last week, and everybody loved it. We also have Dawn Turner here. Hi, Dawn. And we have, I think that's it for now. Yeah. So welcome everybody, and thank you all for being here. We appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up the topic that I got to choose for this week and explain a little bit about what it is. And then I found some other examples, which I'll highlight a couple of it. And then I want the ladies to offer up what they came up with. But we're talking about reflections on liminal space, and liminal space isn't like outer space, and it's not a physical place. It's more of an emotional place, I would say. And it is a transitional space between who you once were and whom you are becoming, being aware of being on the threshold of some significant change. And one of the first things I thought about was right now we're sitting in liminal space here in the United States.
Yes.
We don't know what's on the other side of it. It can be something, it can be the bridge between the gap of what was and what's next. And so you can see that this is the way it was, but we don't know yet what's going to be coming for us at that point. I'm thinking also that it could be getting some news about something that will change the fabric of your life in some ways, and not knowing how you're going to navigate that particularly. So last night, I'm going to share just this, that my sweet little Caramel, who is 10 years, I got her when she was 10. She's 12 and a half. And she had cancer in her mammary glands because she used to be a breeding dog, and she grew up on this dirt farm, and it was horrible. So I got her off the dirt farm, and she's been my baby for the longest time. But he told me when he did the surgery in October that she probably had already started to metastasize, and now it's in her lungs. So I feel as though this is my liminal space, my best example of liminal space, because this is what it was before. And what's going to happen next and when, I don't know. But, it is, at least I can be aware that I'm in that space, and I can make some choices of how I want to facilitate moving forward into that other space when the time comes. So I hope this makes sense, everybody. I hope it, yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Marina. See what you want to say. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think that one of the other things that you had mentioned in the topic was, how many times we reinvent ourselves.
Yes.
And we really do. It's the journey that we do through life, because we start off, we are somebody's daughter, and then we are somebody's wife, and then we are somebody's mother, and then we kind of get into being our own independent beings and so on. And the things that come up in life that are unexpected, it gives you a chance to contemplate things, and how am I going to travel this road without really knowing exactly what the outcome is, having a good idea of what the outcome is going to be, but not really knowing. And going forward in faith that when the time comes, I will know what to do.
Right. Which is really all we can do.
Exactly.
Anyway. Yeah, absolutely. I love that, because I think this is a reason why people don't like change, because they put you in a liminal space. In other words, you knew what it was like here and you're clinging to it, but you really have to make that change here, but you're still sort of fighting the tide. So I love your examples. They're beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, very nice. Shari, how about yourself?
I would have to say, thinking about it, probably the first time I got hit with that, even though I didn't know that's what it was when my husband passed away, and I up and decided after a year to move to Arizona. Never been there, didn't know anybody, didn't have a job, didn't have any place to sleep. I mean, I just went. And a lot of it was, for me, it was an act of desperation, because I went from being someone's daughter to someone's wife to someone's mother. And suddenly it was like, well, who am I? And what do I want? And so moving to Phoenix, I was there for 10 years. And it was very pivotal in my life as far as helping me kind of redefine who I was and what did I want to do. And during that time is when I cracked the door back open to the abilities that I'd always had and just pretended didn't exist. And that's when I got that painting from that calendar of my guides, and it was like everything started happening and changing, and it was good changes and scary changes all at the same time, because it was real tempting a lot of times to pack up and go back home and just go back into the box everybody had me in, because I knew what that box was. And then part of me was like, no, I don't want to live in that box anymore with that label anymore. I'm ready to go forward and see what happens next. And I guess the next time something major hit was when my mom passed, and I found this community online, and it opened up another whole new pathway for me that I didn't even begin to think was possible. So
so you don't know how long it's going to take to go from
Yeah.
here to get to here. And obviously, from what you've said, it's depending on whatever is on that other side.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And how strongly is it that you
Yes.
crave that change?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, like I said, there were a lot of times when I was this close to packing up and going home, tail tucked between my legs, saying I can't do this, you know, and then I would stop and think, no, I'll figure it out. I can do this, you know, and it took a while, but I'm still figuring it out. So
Hey,
Yes.
you know, we
I
all
don't have an answer
haven't
yet.
grown
I'm
up
still
yet.
figuring it
Yeah.
out. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying that someday I'm going to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, you know.
Exactly.
Still working on
The
it.
only thing I discovered is I don't want to grow up.
Well, there you go. So you don't have to worry.
I prefer to
yeah,
just be a kid, you know.
I get it. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Shari. That's wonderful. Val, what about you, man?
Okay. Well, I had a lot of time to sit here and contemplate. I am a change lover.
Me
From
too.
the time I was a little kid to now. I say, bring it on. Let me have it. I love the excitement of something new, new surroundings, new place to live, new people to know. I am into the new. Yeah. And so you could almost say I live in the liminal space and enjoy it.
Yeah,
So,
you do. You hang out there.
Absolutely. Have I reinvented myself? I don't wait for a circumstance to come to reinvent myself. I reinvent myself quite frequently.
I get it.
I reinvented myself when I didn't like the job I was in and wanted a better paying job, and became that person who would have that better paying job. Then, of course, it came. I just reinvent myself as I go along. I don't wait for the circumstances. But absolutely, Shari is absolutely right. When you move somewhere new and no one knows you, you do not have to show up in someone else's template.
That's
you
right.
create yourself anew. You give yourself that newness of no one knows you. They don't know who you are or how you show up. You can absolutely be your authentic self in any way you like. Yeah. And no one is holding energy to press on you that says, oh no, that's not you.
It's very freeing, I will admit.
It's very freeing.
Very liberating. Yeah.
It's very liberating. So to live in the liminal space and to just embrace it and be in that, I reinvent myself, and it's almost like my liminal space becomes my every now moment, creating whatever you want that platform to be. So I don't let it inform me. I inform it.
There you go. I love it. I love it. You're talking about someone who's moved 11 times, lived in 11 states, and every time. One of the things that I didn't even realize at the time was that the people that I knew had an opinion of me that I took to heart back in my hometown, and that I was a C student and that I would never accomplish, and I could never be a professor. I would never be able to do that. I would, you know, that kind of thing. And when I moved away, I mean, I had to still face that. I had to go in and say, you know, I really would like to be in this master's program, and you know, please bring me in. Absolutely. But it was like, okay. The interesting thing was that somebody was watching me on Facebook that I went to high school with, and they said to me, "Oh, you were one of the smartest people in the class."
And that's because one person had an opinion. You were going to make your template based on that person's opinion when the rest of them thought you were so smart you could have done anything.
Well, the funny thing is that I was like, let's say there were 350 people in the graduating class. I was like 180. You know, I was somewhere in there. And he thought I was like way at the top. And I'm like, no. So,
that was the kind of person that should have been saying something to you. But the other one, you got the one that made you, that pressed your buttons to get you to go forward and do what you did. Proclaim it as yours, and which you did. Because we bring our catalysts in front of us.
I know we do, but
know.
there you go. And that I sat in that liminal space for I
Yeah.
don't know 30 years, and then I
Yeah.
moved
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a very long stretch. And
Oh, it
again,
can.
it's not a
Yeah.
negative place. It doesn't have to be.
No.
It
No.
isn't for you, right?
No. Yeah.
I think the most I moved in a 1-year time period was 7 times when
Oh,
I was a kid.
gosh, yeah.
My mother had gypsy feet. We were constantly moving.
I moved from like apartment to apartment, like
Yeah,
that.
we would apartment to
Right, yeah.
apartment. And then we
Yeah.
would hop back and forth between Texas and Florida.
Mhm.
And then we'd go to one, and then the other, and then move around, and go back to the other one,
Yeah.
move around. That's why I hate moving now.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
put
I
me in a
just feel
spot
like I'm
and
too
don't
old to
move me.
Yeah, I don't want to move anymore because what I want to do is throw away shit instead of pack it because I
Yeah.
don't want to carry it
Yeah.
with me anymore.
yes.
Yeah. So I want to tell you that one of the things that it also says in the explanation is that it is a transitional state that exists between two defined states, but they also evoke feelings of unease or nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'll get into a period of waxing nostalgic. And
Yes.
I think everybody does, you'll
I
hear
think
something
everybody
that
does.
you'll see the clothes you used to wear that were from the
Yeah.
70s, or you'll hear the music, or there's something like
Mhm.
that. And it says that there are key characteristics of liminal space, transitional, they bridge the gap between what was and what's next. They can be in between. They're neither one thing or the other, but the space between. They can be evocative. They often stir feelings of unease, nostalgia, or a sense of the uncanny.
Yeah.
And it says examples could be empty hallways, parking lots, abandoned malls, or periods of transition like adolescence or the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, there you go. We were sitting in liminal space during all of us.
We
If we were
definitely
doing it every day like Val, we were doing it at least then, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was reinventing myself to be a YouTube.
Yes.
Who knew,
Yes.
right? I know. Who knew? Yeah. Many of us.
Someone told me I was going to be doing this at the start
Mhm.
of lockdown, I would have
Right.
laughed in their face and said,
I'm
"No,
sure.
not even."
Yeah. I know. I agree with you. And still, there are people there are some people that really did spend their lockdown
Yeah.
reinventing themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there are other people who, I have to say, probably lived in a lot of misery because they
Mhm.
wanted to know when that next
Yes.
space was going to come.
But see the difference between when you take power over your everyday moment and you weld it like this is my opportunity. Look what you can do versus when going out there in the future. When's it going to be over? I mean, who wants to be in powerlessness and giving your power away or being powerful? It's just a choice and a perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes. And change is, without change, nothing ever changes. Yes.
But there's nothing more constant either, is there really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
something happens that comes along. And anyway, it says, why are these spaces so intriguing? And why did I bring this even up? And it says here, they can tap into our subconscious and evoke a sense of disorientation or longing for what was. There's your nostalgia.
Well, see, that's the thing. I never look back. I never go. I rarely go into nostalgia. I don't even keep old things around me.
Okay.
I always am in the now and move forward because there's nothing but dead energy back there.
Oh, I know.
I've already been there. So
I know.
I'm always in the creational phase of making new, making the next new. Because what is fun? What's so fun? The creation.
Sure it is. And living in that creation, being open to what you can create. Yeah. Absolutely. I do think that there are times when we say, God, 1990 was, what is it, 30 something
Oh my
years ago?
God, can you imagine? That was
That's that disorientation, because I'll say something and I'll say, oh yeah, remember in the 70s, this and that, and everybody's like,
because it
Yes,
was
I
so
was
long
born
ago,
here.
nobody remembers.
didn't live then. Yeah.
They
And
don't
boy,
remember.
are you old, boy.
See, but I don't even reach back there for those memories to say that to somebody.
That's
I
awesome.
never, I don't
Mhm.
seem to do that. I'm always talking whatever the conversation is now, and never talking about that, because that's not going to get me anywhere.
Right.
For some
Absolutely.
reason, to me, it just doesn't work that way.
I
Yeah.
do like spending time in nostalgia sometimes. It's I think back to when my nieces were young, and some of the silly things that they did, that they're just lovely memories to go back and revisit, and so on. And I do try to concentrate more on the positive than on the negative, because the whatever circumstance that I survived.
Mhm.
So no need to go back and try to update it or be in that energy. I've already done that. I did it once. I don't need to do it again.
And to your point, Marina, that I think is why I don't find myself going back in my memory to relive anything. Man, I lived out. I was there. I don't need to see it again, be in it again. But there was a time, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, or longer than that, where, of course, your mind would go back into the memory of something. But these days, my mind does not go back into any memory of anything. So I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting
Yeah.
that you kind of came to that conclusion as
Yeah.
well. You probably already knew it, but
Well, no, I'm really coming to it now.
Yeah, okay. That's
Because
cool.
I really don't.
Mhm.
I think it's so much work of going in and
Dredging it up.
dredging it up, doing EMDR, doing all those, tapping, whatever it is you're doing to clear the past, blah, 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 blah. Akashic record reading, whatever that is. And all of a
That's
sudden.
the only place you go into the past, is in the Akash.
Well, you can do it through EMDR, where you have the rapid eye movement, and you're just changing the past, you're changing events of the past and that kind of thing. You can go in and change all of that. But then at some point you got to drop it down your mantle and say, okay, I've done that. I'm done with that. That's boring now. Not going on. And that was like 40 years. Yeah. That was like 40 years, 35 years ago. So, I think at some point we all come to this place where living in the present moment is our most powerful place.
Oh, definitely is. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
And, I find people that have, and, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but we have somebody, my daughter-in-law's father, who has Alzheimer's, spent the entire time I knew him, which is like 25 or 30 years, going into the past. He told every story about every past thing he ever. And I thought to myself at the time, gosh, it sounds like he's going to get Alzheimer's, because they say that those who spend every waking moment in the past, they're already like and sure enough, his mother died at like 98, but she was put into a home because she had Alzheimer's. Her body was as healthy as a horse, but she unfortunately had Alzheimer's, and he has it now. But it's just not making new neural pathways in your brain to stay in the old, tell the old same stories. He'd tell the same stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his daughter would say, "Dad, you told that story." She'd be he tell every all the same stories for 35 years.
That's
Yeah.
something else. I had no idea that was so telling, so to speak.
It
you
is
know?
telling
Yeah.
because you're not making new neural pathways. You're
Mhm.
just talking about something that already happened.
Right.
But if you're in this now moment talking about current
You're
events,
talking about things that are currently occurring.
Yes.
and your mind is thinking, it's processing, it's going into new areas, this is a healthy conversation.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
The sad
Um,
part is when you watch someone who always puts so much effort into remembering the past, the family line, who did what to whom, who said what to where, and then to watch them with dementia or Alzheimer's as they lose that. It's like, that's got to be the cruelest disease in the world to me, because you not just lose your physical health, but then your memories are taken away from you. So you don't have those anymore.
Like Larry doesn't even know who I am anymore. So like at Christmas and Thanksgiving, we all get together over at my son and daughter-in-law's house, and he doesn't know me. And he's known me for 35, 40 years. It's been that long. So
wow.
There's nothing worse than to have your mother look at you and go, "Who are you?"
No, I know.
Yeah.
Because there's no memory.
No.
You're a stranger to her, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm sure that day will come for Larry when he won't recognize Laura, but yeah.
So some of the metaphorical significance of liminal reflection is that they can represent the human experience of being in between, waiting and not knowing what comes next. And, we take a loved one to the hospital and they say, okay, you have to have an operation. And you say, oh, all right. Well, I just want you to know you have to sign this because you could die.
Yeah, I know. That's what they tell you.
Yeah, so where are you? You're in a real liminal space. You
are in that, because it's hard to say, okay.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
I'll be good. I'll be good. Yeah,
you gotta live through that.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. It is a hard one.
Yeah, it's not like you could say, I'm gonna pass that one. Let's go to something else.
You can do another option. Yeah. Also, here's some examples. Waiting at an airport or a bus station can feel liminal if you're not quite there, but you're not quite here either.
Yeah.
I love that one. And, it makes sense because you're just hoping that this can get over with so you can just relax because you're exhausted, especially if it's a long trip.
Yeah,
work is a new job or change in roles can create a liminal space as you navigate the new environment and find your place in that company. Right. That's a hard thing to be the new guy or gal.
Oh,
it can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be.
Absolutely.
It is if you're not, if you're somebody who is very friendly and gregarious, I would say that's probably true. If you're somebody that is reserved anyway, you just go about your business. And then people might warm up to you or they might not. But it depends on your personality style.
Yeah.
My son, it's really hard.
Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes, especially if within the same company, within the same group of people, and you take on a higher position.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yes, absolutely. That can be, unless handled well, that can be very uncomfortable because, here all of a sudden you go from being a colleague to being their boss. Yeah. And, there's, there can be a lot of emotion and resentment that
or even somebody coming from the outside who all the people in the inside were vying for that position too. And
The hardest part, I think, especially with a new job, if you're coming from your old job where you've been there a long time and you were the go-to person. You were the person everybody came to because you knew where everything was, how to do everything, when to go, when to stop, whatever. And then you go into this new place. You don't know anybody. You don't know the shorthand language of that particular establishment. You don't know the credentials almost of the people that you're working with. You don't know their past history of how they interacted with one another. And it can put you in some
politics in the job.
The politics, yeah, it can
Oh, yeah.
really,
Yeah.
if you step wrong, it can really make going forward almost impossible.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
I've seen people just up and quit and leave and
That's
go
why
somewhere else.
for somebody who keeps to themselves and is not going to create animosity by getting together and chit-chatting with people, it can get on the gossip side. You don't ever want to get in those positions when you're first starting out anyway, but
Yes.
it's much easier if you keep your own counsel. Then everybody really can
True.
see that you're not sitting with other people
Yeah.
and you're not playing politics. They can see that you're not playing politics and you're a straight shooter. That's what I've always found from just going in and being confident and doing your own thing.
Yes.
You can worry about friendships and all that stuff later. You don't have to do it in the beginning. You just come in, you show them who you are, and you do your thing. And that seems to be the way to allow everyone to see who you are while you're keeping your own counsel.
So I have a question, though. Well, you were talking about bringing someone in from the outside and that with the job.
Yeah.
I remember working at a tax office, and I worked with the most disorganized person that you could have ever met. She had piles of stuff on her desk. She took forever to do a tax return. She yammered and talked and cheerful and all this shit with the people. I'm knocking out 5 or 6 tax returns in an hour, let's say. She's still talking to the same person and they give her a promotion.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It is not about you and your worth and value in accordance to, it is about that. It is about that, and it's not about that. In other words, she acts like she owns the place by her gregarious nature and come on in and blah, blah, blah. And whoever is the boss looks at that like, oh, she must be good. She knows what she's doing. Everybody likes her.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody who's got their nose down to the grindstone and pumps it out, you're just sitting there pumping it out.
Yeah,
I'm making the money.
Everybody else look good.
Yeah.
So I realized this one day. And when I looked around and I said, why are they in that position making that money? I could definitely do that and more. And I said, oh, I have to switch my brain around. So then I ended up in a position where I was way above all that. And I hardly had to do anything. Because that's how it works.
It happens all the time.
Yes, that's how it works.
Yeah, it does.
It isn't how much work you produce.
Right.
It isn't.
No, it's how you make people feel.
That's it, Marina.
So there's that.
There's
the self-satisfaction of knowing that, I was hired to do this job. I'm being paid to do this job. So maybe I should just get down to doing that job.
Yeah.
Right. And especially in a work environment where you're kind of working as a group, most higher ups are going to look at the group numbers. Yeah. Well, if the group numbers are good, they they may not.
She did 2 and I did 20. Oh, you did 22? Wow. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yes. Yeah. I had to once point out to a boss after I'd been particularly successful in a sales quarter. And she was almost schooling me in something. And I said, and did you realize, who contributed to this growth in this office? Yeah. Well, I mean, it was everybody. No, it wasn't everybody. It was me. Without my numbers, this would not have
happened. And folks, this is what I'm talking about standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
There is a point where you might be humble, you might be modest, you might be all these things. Yes. But there comes a time when you have to pat yourself on the back and say something.
Yeah.
Because You aren't doing it for nothing.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
give yourself a pat on the back. That means if you have to mention that in that setting like Marina's, you should do it for your own well-being, for your own self-esteem, for your own ownership of the contribution.
I wish I knew that 20 years ago, because I think I would have gotten a full-time job.
You made a contribution.
So I never talked about myself.
Yeah, that's it. And many of us don't, Aley, and that's where we kind of have gone wrong as women, because we're kind of like,
we've been taught for, from as far back as I can remember, is, don't brag.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a very nice ladylike.
Yes, exactly.
And then I did this, and after I was finished with that, it doesn't come across nice. But there are times when, I think for me, there's a difference between bragging and
stating facts.
Stating facts. You know what? Yes, I was the one who contributed to this. I was the one that brought the branch to the point that it was.
Stating facts.
I deserve to be acknowledged for my part in that.
Absolutely.
Next quarter, maybe it's somebody else. They deserve to be acknowledged for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So stand up for yourselves, everyone.
Yes.
Stand up and be counted, because you know what? That month you were fantastic. That month, it shouldn't go by where just because you have a boss who's kind of slighted you. No. Say something.
That was like me after lockdown. The other secretary that worked the same set of offices where I worked had left just before everything hit the fan. And so when we came back, suddenly I was doing my job and her job. And I did that for almost 2 years, waiting for them to hire somebody.
But did they pay you your salary and our salary?
No, that's just it. They wanted me to apply for the job separately, but they couldn't pay me more money for a higher position with that job.
Yeah.
And they never offered a raise, a bonus, go to hell, nothing. When I was doing both jobs at the same time.
See, this is what I mean about we let ourselves be taken advantage of by not speaking up.
I spoke up. Just that my boss didn't have final say in the matter. So.
Yeah, I get that. And you know what? That's not right.
I know.
No,
I've had that happen so many times that I couldn't even count. One of the times that happened was yesterday, actually. I was given, they brought in all my student evaluations, and there were some people that said I was nasty or something. And they said, we don't go by individual comments, we go by patterns. And I said, okay. And I said, well, let me just tell you this. Somebody wrote that I ran my class like I was living in organized chaos. And I said, I want you to know that I was. I said, I haven't had a vacation in 15 years. My house flooded. My husband's disabled. And I said, I'm not making excuses, but I never told anybody.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing my job,
Exactly.
And they're like, that's what I got.
Yeah.
So
that's what you got?
That's what I got. That was what I got from them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you my number, and when you go through the same thing, you can call me. I'll be able to commiserate with you. How's that?
I thought maybe they were going to say, "Would you want me to play the world's tiniest violin for you?" Because that's the feeling that they gave me. And so when I do stand up for myself, I get shit on. So
because
because
you know what? Here's how you stand up for yourself. After they've gone through the whole entire the review of comments, or however they want to group them together and see the pattern, then you explain to them how it is in today's crop of youngsters who are going for higher education, because they need to understand.
They don't believe that. Yeah.
They
They
need
really
to understand that there's a disconnect
There
with
is.
responsibility
Mhm.
in many of these youngsters. And what's the word for it?
You have a whole generation of young people who have been raised by helicopter parents.
Oh yeah, I
They
know
can't wipe their butt without mama or daddy
Yes.
coming and telling them what a good job they did of it.
Yep.
You
And
know,
there-
and
there's
so
so-
they get into
such
college and they
entitlement.
get into a job and they want that constant approval. And it's like, yeah,
Yes.
life doesn't work that way.
It's
you know?
also the entitlement where they believe that all of this should just be handed to them on a silver platter. If they even turn in a paper, no matter what's on it, it should be an
Well, I had made a
automatically.
comment. I had made a
100%.
comment on an announcement, and I think I said, I shouldn't have to tell you this again, is what I started. And she had a fit. Because they are a customer. They're
Yes.
a customer.
I see this turning. This has been turning into a battle to educate
Oh yeah.
kids. It's not easy
Yeah.
to educate kids because no matter how we say it, it's going to be turned around to be something negative.
Yeah. And you know, maybe I did have a bad day. Maybe I was short with them. And I admitted that. I did say that could have been because I was having a really bad day, and that was wrong of me. Okay. But, you know, it's just interesting to me that I knew I couldn't go there with this crop of kids, which I would have liked to have gone
I
there
think
with.
you need to get
Yes.
yourself a stamp. Oh, you did a great job, but this is your score. Oh, you did a great job, but this is your score. Oh, you did a great job.
They
but this
do the
is your
same
score.
job I do, though, and so they
Yes.
know they argue with me about that.
Of course they do, because when they argue with you, when they are able to, they say to you all the things that they are hearing other people say
Yes.
to them that
Yes.
makes them uncomfortable to
Thank you,
hear.
Marina.
So
It's called
it's kind of
mirroring.
like, well,
They're going to mirror it back to
mirroring.
you, their own
Yeah, exactly.
lack
It's,
of
you know what?
whatever, right?
Yeah, I may have been unapproachable, but you know, look at this person over here.
That's right.
19 people said they were unapproachable.
That's
So I
exactly
guess I'm better than they are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
It's-
you're right. There is that double standard. I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
A double
You know,
It's just like I mean, I work in a department at the university where I'm at where we have far more foreign students than we have American students. And the difference in the attitude
it is different. Yeah.
is night and day.
It is.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are exceptions to the rule, but foreign students are so much more appreciative of the fact that they're even being allowed to get an education.
Yeah.
While
Yep.
American students are like, if they, like I said, if they wipe their butt right, they expect everybody to give them a medal and applaud. You know, it's
Or it might be triggering. So you have to watch.
Yeah.
You can't say that. But I love this, Linda. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll take a
exactly.
projection for 500, Alex.
I mean, like
Yeah.
all over the place
Absolutely.
on that whole
Exactly.
thing there.
Absolutely. That's perfect.
That's perfect, Linda. That's perfect.
It
But I
really is.
mean, this is the scary thing. Just even in that educational environment, this is the whole dynamic going
It's the
on.
microcosm of the macro.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. And yet, I'll be okay. You know, I'm not letting it bother me. It would have
Oh,
bothered me
It's
before.
not
Doesn't bother
a
me.
reflection on you. It's telling
No,
you
I know.
about-
But
it's
it doesn't.
telling you about that system that you're
Yes.
in as well.
I'm just glad I started when I did, because I can see how it's changed in 27 years. Very
Yeah.
much.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it used to bother
teachers-
me.
Teachers were respected
True,
and
yes.
and looked up to. Professors were respected and looked up to, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
appreciated. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
is there anybody here that wants to offer us a liminal space example that may be in the midst of something? For instance, a new job, a new relationship, between being divorced and then
Oh,
being single again.
Being divorced and creating this is my liminal space of
Yeah.
being divorced. Creating a dynamic goddess kind of concept where you are loving yourself in that moment, where you have forgiven yourself for bringing anything, any of your lessons through that you for 3D Earth, and you forgive all the players on your stage deeply and heartfelt to the point of tears, releasing all that and clearing yourself and clearing every single thing that you can imagine and moving on to deeply loving yourself and doing kind of, I call it goddess work.
It is.
Divine
you don't need
feminine
somebody
work.
else if you go through that.
Yes,
You
and
just
so
know you don't.
you're going through lots of tears, lots of deep emotion, lots of layers falling off, and throughout that time, you're alone and going through like 7 years of that kind of thing and higher spiritual growth in terms of learning more modalities and things that you do. And evolving through a whole bunch of different classes you're taking and things like that. And so many experiences from that. That was what happened during one of my transition phases. I take it as an opportunity to create anew. I don't wait to see what shakes out. I decide this is my moment to be me.
Yes.
And how can I invent myself and reinvent myself better? And those are the things that I did. I mean, I can't remember all of it, but it was, it was all about me.
Yes.
That's okay. Because that's what
sometimes
should
it
have
needs
always
to be
been
all
about
about me.
anyway.
You know?
Yeah, it should have always been all about you.
It was all about me.
And I love the idea that if you love yourself that much, you don't need anybody else. And if you
I
meet
never,
somebody else,
I had no, and
no
you know, it was after that I asked the universe for my divine compliment about after 7 years. And within 4 months, he came, and that's my husband. So just so you know, the prep work to getting there is essential. Yeah. Because you are clear and can see your partner clearly, and you present yourself authentically. This is important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that is very, very cool. So I just have to say thank you to my lovely sisters and all of you in the chat for being with us today. And a very interesting topic. And I'm glad it came up. So I'm glad I was able to think of something different. But and Suzanne, I did see your comment that you're moving to Fredericton, New Brunswick. Yeah. And you are in a liminal space, but it's kind of a fun one, isn't it? It's like new and exciting for you. So yeah.
I think you could almost, except for the death of a loved one, you can almost say every liminal space is a fun and exciting creative space.
It can be if you think it is. You're right.
It can be. You just have to have the right attitude for it.
Yeah, you do. New beginnings. That's right. That's right. That's awesome.
For some reason, I get excited about it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm with you, Val. I tend to, when you're working and someone comes in and says, okay, we have a new program. This is what we're going to do. And people, well, what's wrong with the way that we've always done
exactly. I never go there. I'm going, show me. Let me see what.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's try. Let's try it out.
Yes.
That's an open mindset. That is a complete open mindset.
That just reminded me when they brought in the computers, I said, yay.
Yeah.
Show me. Let me do this.
Yeah.
I was like right there.
Step back. I'm about to take control.
Exactly.
That's it. Wow. That's it. So next week, I believe, is it your turn?
It's me.
Marina?
Next week,
because Shari and Val had changed, and so
but we're back to the normal.
We switched back. We just covered each other.
I know you did. No, I know you did. But is it Marina's turn? Is my question.
Okay. It's Marina's turn. Yeah, and then after Marina is me, and then after me is Val.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Back to the normal rotation.
So everybody, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. And lots of love to everybody. LOL, lots of love. That's what some old people think that means.
Don't forget to like,
Works
share,
for
and
me.
subscribe to all our channels.
Yes, please
Yay.
do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
Have a
right.
good night. Love you guys.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.